your beautiful, wonderful Friday. So, hope you're having yourselves a fantastic day. Hope you're making the most of the day that you got, and hopefully you've been having a great week. If you haven't been having a great week, we're going to make it better. If you have been having a great week, we're going to keep it going. That's what we do here on Wake Up Call. It's about positivity, it's about love, it's about goodness, it's about doing the right thing and finding the comedy, right, in life. You know, finding those things that we can lean on and find a way to get through, because we all go through stuff, right? Everybody goes through stuff, and it's about how we navigate it, how we respond to it, that determines who we are and where we go and how happy we are, honestly. So make sure that you're taking care of you, taking care of your mental health. If you have questions or thoughts or something's bugging you, talk to somebody, reach out. Don't go through anything alone, and be the best that you can be. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, like I said, we are inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal located for you on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location. So make sure you head out to all of their locations today, whichever one is closest to you. Head out there, let them know the Wake Up Call sent you, and get yourself some holiday blend while supplies last coffee at Cafe Kubal. You can also get your chais there. The chais, I call it the world famous chais. I love them. They make their syrups and their spices and everything in-house. They are fantastic. And love getting their chai, their teas, everything that they have there. And, of course, all of their sweet treats that you can go out. You know what? Treat yourself today. Go out and get a cookie from them. Get the chocolate chip banana bread. Great stuff that they have there on site, on location at Cafe Kubal. And if you're out of town, you can go to cafekubal.com to continue to support this community of Central and upstate New York. And you can see my upstate here, and I wear these very proudly all the time. Got my upstate hat, got my 315 hat. Those are all from Witty Wicks. Witty Wicks not only is a local business, a small business in our community on 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus, New York, but they're also people that carry products that celebrate, uplift, and support our community. So we have our Cuse Pillow, Home Sweet Home, the 315 Syracuse with the new dome in the back. You got the 315 Home Sweet Home sign here, and you have the ornaments that are behind me here. You have your Upstates, and you have your Upstate 315 New York logo here. And then, of course, you have things that are special to our community, like the upside down sign. The upside down light that we have at Coleman's. So make sure you get out to Cafe Kubal and support them here in our studios. And then within the studio, make sure you get out to Witty Wicks and get all these great things that they have to offer here in our community. And like I said, upstate New York. I wear these very proud. I was stopped in Disney. I was wearing this in Disney with my dad, and a couple stopped me and said, "Is that upstate New York?" And I was like, "Yeah. It is," and that's exactly why I wear it, right? It's for upstate New York and central New York to spread love and goodness about my community everywhere I go. And we got stopped and had a conversation with people that had been living up here for a long time. So, beautiful thing to be able to not only support our community, which I appreciate everyone that does, but to wear it proudly on your chest, which you can do by going to Witty Wicks on 190 Township Boulevard in Township 5 in Camillus, New York, right in front of Movie Tavern. So make sure you head out there today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. We got a great show set up here for you. And inside of Witty Wicks, they carry Ma and Pa's. And Ma and Pa's gives you what's poppin' every single week. Go to maandpazpopcorn.com, and you can go to them right now and get your half-price refill tins, any size, for life. You buy a tin at Ma and Pa's, you can get half-price refills for the rest of your life. And they got some great holiday and Christmas ones that are really, really cool. The truck with the tree in the back that so many people love. Snowmen, penguins, a lot of great stuff. Ma and Pa's bringing you what's poppin'. We're going to start off with our trio of segments that we always do on a Friday. The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. The Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, which will feature my Top Dog one-on-one conversations with Syracuse Orange men's basketball. So the Top Dog of the Week is not only honoring, but we're also going to be featuring those honorees with one-on-one conversations. Syracuse Orange men's basketball getting the Top Dogs of the Week as they've won their last 2 games, as they continue to grow and learn and blossom together. And you'll hear the conversations that I've had with Justin Taylor, as well as Maliq Brown, 2 freshmen and 2 vets, Joe Girard III and Jesse Edwards joining the show as well. And then that Syracuse logo continues on, as we will have a conversation here today about the Cuse Coaching Carousel. And, Cuse cubed, so to speak, because it's Cuse Coaching Carousel, the 3 C's cubed, right? And not only that, C cubed, but the fact that it is 3 coaches. So you can say Cuse Coaching Carousel, C cubed, and you can also say it because there are 3 coaches, as Tony White is moving on to Nebraska, Coach Anae is moving on to NC State, and Jason Beck, the quarterback's coach, has been elevated to offensive coordinator. So we'll be talking about all of those moves and love to get your thoughts on it in hour number 2 around 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll be back with the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by the wonderful people at Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like, and they will be coming up right after this here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt. Very easy ways to get in touch with us all throughout the community, and we appreciate you being here. It is time for us to have our fireside chat, as we always do, and that fireside chat with the annoying moment of the week. Let's fireside chat it up, right? We got to light a candle. That's what we got to do. So we're lighting up a candle for this fireside. Syracuse offensive and defensive coordinators leaving. So got my Witty Wicks candle out to play therapist. This is autumn in Cuse. You know, because back in autumn, Syracuse still had these coaches as coordinators. So sad, but true. And we'll discuss as we continue forward. We're going to go to the annoying moment of the week. First and foremost here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. That is our first piece of every Friday broadcast. And last week we were on the road and spending some time with Dad. So I'm going to give you a double dose of the annoying moment of the week, as I appreciate the fact of everybody that comes in to hear this and has as our longest standing segment on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I believe 11 years. So the annoying moment of the week, I know you all appreciate it. Here it is.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you... Is that for real? Are you kidding me? The annoying moment of the week. I don't know how to respond to this. Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
You have to be that crazy. I guess so.
The annoying moment of the week. Well, this week, we're going to start things off with this, and why I was a little bit behind here on the show today. I have no idea what has upsetteth my stomach, but yesterday I really wasn't hungry at all. Now, thank goodness I built up some hunger when I went to... I can't speak today. That's all right. Thank God I don't do it for a living. So I had the opportunity to go to Pizza Man last night, and I was hungry enough, which was great, because I love their wings, their lemon peppers, and I love my sweet heat pizza. So I was able to eat those. But I don't know what has been going on with my stomach the last couple days. My stomach, and I don't know if y'all feel this too, but, you know, it's just been like a weird stomach thing where it doesn't feel like it's off. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm fine, I'm good. And then it just kind of is like, meh, I don't know. I don't know how it feels right now. And it would kind of just bug me, and you get that like rumbles and tumbles in your belly. And then you go and, you know, you take care of it, and then it continues to kind of be there, not be there. So I don't know what the heck I had. Sometimes, and this is like the weirdest thing, sometimes when I stop cereal and then I bring cereal back in, sometimes that does it for me, which is really interesting to me, because it's like, what the heck are in these cereals? And maybe I should check them, right? Maybe I should check to see, like, do they have a key ingredient that is similar amongst all of these beautiful dangers that I've been having? Because I just, you know, I got to get to the bottom of it. I have to understand what's going on so that I can, you know, more readily help myself and move forward in a positive way. So if y'all are feeling that, I'm with you. My other annoying moment of the week, you know, in these scoops of the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, my other one has got to be people getting sick. You know, so many people are getting sick lately, and it's really bothersome, right? And it's like, well, why are we getting sick, Dan? Why is this going on? How could this be going on? How could people be getting, you know, all these people getting the flu and all these people, you know, being under the weather and this, that, and the third? Well, I would say, you know, and I take this from somebody else that I was talking to, you know, we have essentially made ourselves weak because we've been wiping everything down and washing everything over and over and over again throughout these many months. We're in a situation right now where we have, you know, we've not created a strong immune system potentially because we haven't exposed ourselves to some germs. Like, remember what they say, you know, when you look at the thing and it says kills 99% of germs, because you're not supposed to kill 100% of the germs that are out there. You're not supposed to. You got to have a little bit of germs so that your body can prepare for them, so that your body can react to them in a positive way, that your body can fight them, right? So you have to have some germs out there in life because your body has to be able to fight those germs off. And if you take away all of the germs, then you put yourself in a situation where your body is not going to be able to fight them off. And that's an issue, obviously. And I feel like that's maybe where we're at as a society right now, because we've been Lysoling everything and hand sanitizing and wiping everything down. We have kind of lowered our ability to fight things because we're not really putting ourselves around it, right? We don't, you touch a surface, there's germs on it, and your body fights it. Well, if your body has been consistently, and I'm no doctor over here by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like if you're not exposing yourselves to some germs and your body is constantly being, just like being clean from all this stuff, if you're a walking Lysol bottle, then you may not be able to fight these things off. So maybe that's where we are as a society right now. But my frustration is, my aunt and my uncle, Papa Joe and Mary T, they're like another set of parents to me. And they've been sick for over a week. And they've had this virus. There's a new virus that's out now. And there's all these new viruses. And then you hear about, I can't tell you how many times I've been trying to set some, this person's got the flu, this person's got the flu, this person was home. And the thing is, some people, it's like a week, 2 weeks, a month. Some people, it's a few days. But my third annoying moment of the week goes off of that. As Greg knows, my allergies are insane this year. They are absolutely insane. Thanks, Greg, on the germ take. Yeah, makes sense here. But my allergies they're ridiculous this year. And I just saw something like flash by my phone yesterday that said, allergies, this is like the worst allergy season ever. And it's like, what is going on? Because if you ever saw the movie The Happening by M. Night Ramalama Ding Dong. But M. Night Shyamalan, I'm not trying to make fun of him. It's just like when I think about his name, I think about Ramalama. But, because it's like it's a lot of syllables, whatever. Don't judge. So M. Night Shyamalan, and I'm a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan, not making fun of him. Love the movies Split because I've dated girls like that, unfortunately. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. So, I'm not kidding. But yeah, thought they were the beast. That's okay. So, big shout out to those movies. James McAvoy played an incredible role. He should have gotten Best Actor and Supporting Actor because he played 23 different personalities. He was insane. He should have gotten Supporting Actor and Best Actor. I mean it, and I mean it, because he was good. Great stuff. Great stuff from James McAvoy, who also plays Professor X. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. In X-Men, this is my running stream of consciousness, That's why I think Vince Vaughn and I would get along. But back to the annoying moment of the week. Back. So as we're here now in the annoying, Chris Berman now, as we're in the annoying moment of the week, allergy season, it's ridiculous. It's been atrocious. And so my thing is, okay, you got flus, you got all these new viruses, you got these different transforming, mutating things. Like, we can't figure out a way with all the technology we have to build an actual transformer robot. However, and then somebody's going to show me a video that somebody built one. However, we can transform our friggin' viruses and do all this crazy stuff since COVID, right? And I believe that some of this stuff, I don't believe that COVID just happened. But in the movie The Happening, getting back to that, that was when something did happen. People started getting sick, they started dying, and nobody could understand why. And what it ended up being is that the world constantly is evolving, right? People forget that the Earth is a living, breathing thing. And this living, breathing thing called the Earth was in a situation where it was, these plants, essentially these trees, were letting out into the air these invisible particles because the trees were evolving, and apparently they were reacting maybe to people cutting them down and all the things that people have done to the Earth. So the Earth reacted and created think about it like pollen particles or something in the air, something of that. It's been a long time since I watched it, but they create this, they evolve and they kind of blossom and let out these particles into the air, and it starts to kill people. So instead of people cutting trees down, trees are essentially cutting people down, so to speak. And, and when I think about what's been going on the last couple of years, it makes me think of that, right? It makes me think of, this mutation and evolution and all this stuff. And whatever you believe and don't believe. I mean, and first and foremost, people, we got to take the politics out of stuff, okay? You got to take the politics out of a lot of things. And, ultimately, COVID is a real thing, right? It killed a bunch of people. It is a real thing and a living, breathing thing. But at the same time, to think that this highly effective whatever it just seems all too perfect that, population control. But a lot of people have died. Now a lot of people are getting sick with like the normal flu and the mutated flu and people's allergies and all this stuff. It's been ridiculous. It's been absolutely awful. And I feel horrible for people. I really, really do. And it's just, I don't like seeing people get sick. And with everything we've been through the past couple of years, I don't want people to have to go through this anymore. I don't want people to have to endure this. And it seems like whatever was created in a lab, because I do believe it was, and I don't know where the heck it came from, but I do believe this was something that was made to control the population. And I know some people think it's crazy. Comedians have talked about it. There's a lot of things out there, It's an all too perfect virus and a silent killer, right? So, and we weren't prepared for it. We didn't have the medicine for it. And by the way, where did AIDS go? Did anybody think about that? Like, where have all these other disease, like these things that have been killing people forever, where did they go? COVID came. Did COVID cure AIDS? I guess is my question. Like, did COVID come in and was COVID's virus the cure for AIDS? A virus for a virus? I have no idea. But AIDS is gone now. I mean, did you ever realize that? There's like things that just disappear that we've been fighting for years upon years upon years. Crazy. And that nobody had the flu last year. Everybody had COVID. Really? No one had the flu? Nobody had a sinus infection? I did. So, I mean, it's very strange what's going on. But like I said, you take the politics out of it and you just look at it. We need to ask questions, and we don't. And a lot of people follow like cattle, which I think is sad because there's a lot of things out there that we don't know. Are these safe? Is this the right way to go? You got to ask questions. And now people are still getting sick, and it's breaking my heart. And that's an annoying moment of the week. And we're going to bookend the show because my other annoying moment of the week is the fact that Syracuse, again, is not keeping a staff together. Somebody responded and said, well, no staff stays together for 2 years. Dino Babers has not, and that is not true, folks. Dabo Sweeney and Clemson kept his staff together for a long time, right? Brent Venables was there for a long, long time before he ended up going. Tony Elliott was there for a while. Jeff Scott was there for a minute, right? There were people there at Clemson, so that's not entirely true. Nick Saban has had people come in, go out, come in, go out. But we're talking about those programs, right? We're talking about Alabama. If you're on Alabama and you win a national championship and you got an opportunity to go be a head coach, yeah, you strike while the iron's hot. Syracuse is not that. When you see somebody leave a program that's 7-5, and you sit here and you go, okay, where are they going to? This is not. You cannot compare Alabama and Syracuse and say, well, coaches just leave everywhere. Yeah, coaches leave places, but there's coaches that build in other places. There's coaches that keep their staffs together. There's coaches that continue to grow and blossom. At Syracuse, Dino Babers in 7 years, I don't believe that there has been 100% of the staff every year for each of the 7 years. You got a coordinator, lose a coordinator. Got a coordinator, lose a coordinator. Don't have a coordinator, don't replace the coordinator, then get a coordinator. And it is very atypical to see both of these guys go. Normally, when your coordinators go, it's because you fired them both. It's usually when a coach is trying to keep their job, they fire their coordinators, and then if that doesn't work out, they fire the head coach. Well, Dino fired Greg Ward, his first defensive coordinator at Syracuse. He fired Sterling Gilbert, who was here for a season. But it's not a normal occurrence in every place. People got to stop thinking, well, this happens everywhere. It doesn't happen everywhere. It happens in some places, but it doesn't happen everywhere. That you have like 4 quarterback coaches in 4 years or 3 offensive coordinators in 4 years or something like that. Tony White was building something here. I thought Tony White was going to leave to become a head coach or become the head coach of Syracuse in the future. That's what I believe. The fact that Tony White is gone is not good. And by the way, Tony White's going to a team that's worse off than Syracuse. Nebraska is atrocious. They brought Scott Frost, their alum, back to the program, right? He became the head coach. He's an alum. They didn't care. They're, see you, Scott. You suck. We're not winning. Does Scott suck? No. Nebraska's been friggin' terrible. In 1983, Syracuse, what is it, 1983? Syracuse took them down. Beat them. Number 1 in the country. Came to the Dome. Got whooped. Cornhuskers sent home. Shucking corn again. Right? Syracuse took that game to the house. But since those days, Nebraska hasn't been that good. Nebraska hasn't been relevant. People forget what conference Nebraska's in. It's the Big Ten, by the way. But people forget that because they're at the bottom of it. Tony White, and think about this. Tony White leaving. Matt Rule got fired from Carolina. He's my dude. I don't blame him for what went on in Carolina. Look at all the garbage going on in Carolina right now. First and foremost, an organization that fires a head coach right after the head coach has been named Coach of the Year and could be up for Coach of the Year again, Ron Rivera. That shows me something. Why are you getting rid of a coach who's one of the best coaches in the country? Why are you getting rid of a coach who brought you to a recent Super Bowl? What is wrong with you? Okay? And then they do that, and I don't blame Matt Rule for the Cam Newton, we left him, we got him back, we don't know what to do, who's their quarterback, don't know, yes. No, you got rid of Christian McCaffrey, the best player on your team, to go let him live a better life, which he is in San Francisco, and you guys are not that great. Carolina has been atrocious. But Matt Rule gets fired, and I said, okay, if you get fired as a head coach in the NFL, you're probably going to still be a head coach in college. Because if you're a head coach in college and you're losing a bunch of games, you may not be a head coach. If you get fired as a head coach in college and you didn't have a good track record, you're probably going to have to go be a coordinator or an assistant, build your way back up. You get fired as an NFL head coach, you can go be a head coach in college. I believe that. And it happened with Matt Rule very quickly. And he went to, he's at Nebraska. Tony White came to a Syracuse team in shambles with a defense that was awful. Not the personnel, the defense itself was awful. Because collectively, they didn't win games, but individually, we had some good players at Syracuse, right? And I mean, the Zaire Franklins of the world, for goodness sakes, who was affected by the crappy defense. Because he had 2 years of Scott's attack defense, and then 2 years of this defense that seemingly did almost nothing on the field, and I feel like that affected his film because he should have been at least a third-round pick. He goes in the 7th round. I had no doubt he was going to make the team, and now he's a captain, as he should be, because he is that good, and the last 2 years on film didn't show that because of the defense he was in, not because of the player that he was. I believe that the defense was hurting the Syracuse players' stock in the NFL. So you look at Tony White coming to Syracuse in shambles, and he brings a whole new defense, 3-3-5. And he comes over from Arizona State, makes this thing work. It's all great. It's here for 3 seasons. And now he's left to become the same role with Nebraska. And Nebraska is atrocious. And Greg is actually saying what I'm saying right now, that the coordinators took lateral moves, is what I was getting at, right? Not only a lateral move, but Tony White came here to rebuild, to build Syracuse's defense, because there was no defense here. And so Tony White comes in as like hey, let's just hope that it works, right? And if it doesn't work, rotate in another DC. And if that doesn't work, rotate in another DC until we get a scheme that works at Syracuse. Well, Tony White's scheme worked, and he's been great, right? He's been great. To some people, he's the most coveted coach here, even more than Dino. To a Syracuse fan, Tony White was the untouchable. Gotta keep him, right? And then what does John Wildhack say? When I asked him why he kept Dino Babers a couple years ago, what did he say? Well, I like Tony White. Well, that doesn't answer my question. I mean, if you like Tony White, why did you keep Dino? Well, I like Tony White. So you thought if you lost Dino, you lose Tony White? Obviously, that's not the case. They didn't come in together, and obviously that's not the case here because you lost Tony White and you didn't lose Dino. So my thing was, if you really wanted to keep him, then why didn't you hire him as the head coach? And then you wouldn't be in this moment right now where he's taking a lateral move to Nebraska. A couple years ago, John Wildhack, why did you keep Dino? Well, because I like Tony White. And I think he said Mike Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh left, and Tony White is now left. So if you kept Dino because you wanted to keep his assistants, well, that didn't work out for you. Maybe you should have hired Tony White if you wanted to keep Tony White, is my thing. And that's no offense to Dino. That's my reaction to John Wildhack saying, I like Tony White. Okay, if you like him, then you should have hired him. You didn't hire him, now he's gone. These guys taking lateral moves, and to NC State is a better program than Syracuse. They are. You might not want to hear that, and you might not believe me, but They are. They're a better program than Syracuse. They have played really good games against Clemson, and I know Syracuse has in recent history too. But NC State has had better records, and they've been a better overall team in the country. And they have consistency of keeping Dave Doran as their coach. So they've been better overall than Syracuse. They just have been. And so, Robert Anae going to that program is good for them. It's very good for them. But it's a lateral move. You're going from OC to OC. And then you look at Tony White, you're going from DC to DC. But you're going to another crappy program. And maybe this is Tony White's vision, right? I go to Syracuse, I cure Syracuse defense. I go to Nebraska, I cure Nebraska's defense. If I cure two defenses in the country that were part of two of the worst teams in the entire FBS, then now I've proven myself and given myself a good track record and a good resume to become a head coach. Maybe he feels like he has to fix two defenses in order to become a head coach. I don't know. But going to Syracuse was a step down, and now going to Nebraska is a step down from Syracuse. So you're stepping down instead of staying here. It says something to me. And like I said, we're going to talk about this, but it's part of my annoying moment of the week because it sucks. Here we are, Syracuse fans, getting ready for a bowl game, and literally, on the day, December 8th, on the day, which is, I think, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. God bless you, Mary. Always and forever. On December 8th, exactly 3 weeks before the bowl game. Literally. Exactly 3 weeks. On a Thursday, 3 weeks before the Thursday that they're supposed to play in the Pinstripe Bowl, you lose your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator. What a punch in the gut to this program. You've already lost Josh Huff, who came in as a running back, moved to defensive line, has been hurt. You lost 3 wide receivers in Dom Foster, Anthony Quealy, and Courtney Jackson. You lost an offensive lineman who's young in the game, who is working his way out there, Tyler Magnuson. And now your offensive and defensive coordinators have essentially entered the transfer portal. That's awful. It's terrible. But that's where we're at. So it's got to be part of my annoying moment of the week. What did Greg say here? The Orange are losing coaches not because they're winning and the coaching staff are getting promoted due to prior success. They're losing coaches due to poor relationships and chemistry, as well as poor performance. Incredibly frustrating and sad. Yeah, I mean, it's showing something, right? When there is a mass exodus, when every single year you're firing coaches or losing them to other programs, and every single year you're losing players to the transfer portal, well, Dan, that happens to everybody. Look at the track record, okay? Look at the track record. They're consistently losing coaches and consistently losing players. They lose 3 to 4 wide receivers each of the last 3 seasons. Okay? That's not normal. That's not normal. Because I know people are going to go, well, Dan, the transfer portal. No. These coaches were leaving Syracuse before the transfer portal. And this is something. It says something about the organization. When you consistently have a mass exodus, it says something about your organization. Syracuse had almost 20 players in the transfer portal last year. Okay? Something on the hill doesn't smell good. Okay? Something on the hill smells like hot tuna. And we're going to talk about it as we bookend this later on in the show. But it's part of my annoying moment of the week because how could it not be? The annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, right down the road from Syracuse University in Manley Fieldhouse in the Ensley Center. You can find Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. I implore you to go there and get their amazing and wonderful ice cream, second to none. Go and do that today and ask them for the Wake Up Call Sunday, and you can try that there as well. We'll be back after this fast break inside the Cafe Kubal Studios to bring you to Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, focusing this week on the topic, Know Your Boundaries, right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Rd in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios where sports truly meets that thing called life. Always happy to be here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And very much thank you for being here with us, making us a part of your day, part of your morning. Always have a great time with you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And for those of you that can't listen, maybe live 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time or watch live, that you go back and check us out on the archives. I appreciate that so very much as well. We're on many of them, by the grace of God. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Podvine, Player FM, YouTube. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is all you got to search, or you can search one word, Wake Up Call DT. And these are all free, so make sure you join us on all of these. And of course, thanks for being here with us worldwide on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. as well as on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and on facebook.com/livenowdt. So with that being said, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, MonPausPopcorn.com is what's popping, giving you a list of topics for the day. The annoying moment of the week, obviously starting things off, probably presented by Carvel DeWitt. Now we jump into LEAD, which is my acronym I created right before COVID. December 2019 created this, and seemed to be perfect timing in what it stands for. Learn, evolve, ad-lib, deliver. And so LEAD here with me from Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, who I love so very much, both of the locations. Jimmer Sikowski, one of my best friends, somebody that I met in business and business-wise and personally has become one of the greatest people in my life. Love that he took a chance on me, and I love the friendship that we have. Big shout out to Betty, his wife, who just had her birthday, pampered herself as she should, because she's an awesome human being and she's always taking care of everybody else. Big shout out to the whole Sikowski family and to the entire Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay families. It is now time to bring you LEAD, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. And today's topic, know your boundaries. Now, that sounds pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of us, as easy as it sounds, it's not as easy to do. Stop me if you've been through something like that again, right? When somebody tells you to do something that sounds so easy in words, but is so difficult indeed. Knowing your boundaries. Knowing the places where you say, this is enough. No more. Not doing it, right? And a lot of us don't know our boundaries, or we know them, but we do not implement our boundaries. A person in your life who is taking your boundary, right, and reestablishing it. Good morning to my mom. People that are taking your boundaries and establishing them, or reestablishing them, right? Changing your boundaries. Somebody who comes into your life and says, okay, Dan, here's your boundary, but I'm going to move it, right? And people will do that. People will do that in your life. Whether they know it or not, people will come into your life and they will seek to change your boundaries. And if you let them, you're going to wake up one day and go, uh-oh, that line that was drawn in the sand, it's different now. It's a little bit farther back now. How did it get here, you might ask? Well, because you let it get there. You let it move to that place. I said this before, and I'll say it again, and I said it in conversations this week. When you are in a relationship with somebody, business-wise, friendship, family, romantic, when you have your line, when you have your boundary, when you have that boundary, and somebody does something to you, and they move that line, right? They cross the boundary line, and they move it. If you continue to let somebody move the line farther and farther and farther and farther, eventually they're going to push you right off a cliff. Reality. That's reality. I was dating a girl. I had a boundary line. Copy and paste this for pretty much every relationship I had, outside of a couple of them who are fantastic people, and God bless them. They got their kids. I believe they're both married now, and I couldn't be happier for those wonderful women. We weren't right for each other, but I love them as people. The rest of them, pray the best for them, hope the best for them. If they ended up in a padded room, I wouldn't be surprised, but I hope and pray the best for them. And if they're in a padded room, I hope it's the nicest padded room in the world. I really do. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I send love to the worst of them because that's what Jesus taught us to do. Be a good person. I make my jokes, but I genuinely don't wish bad on anybody that wishes bad on me. I don't wish bad on anybody that's tried to give me bad. But to get back to the story, I dated a girl recently and I had a boundary line, right? And it seems like a pretty easy boundary line in a relationship. And she crossed it. And so she moved the line. Then she crossed it again. She moved the line. And then she kept pushing that. She crossed that boundary. So I said, okay, this is my boundary line. Okay, we don't disrespect each other. We don't ignore each other. We don't silence each other. We both have to make an effort It shouldn't be one-sided. You don't cheat. You don't lie. She crossed all of those. So I was at the cliff, right? Because I knew my boundaries, but I didn't leave when my boundary was crossed. This is my suggestion. Because there's people in my family that have crossed boundary lines for me. There's friends that have done it. One of my closest friends, I thought was a close friend, he vehemently crossed the boundary line. He was a habitual line stepper, as Isaac would say. And the way that I deal with people is that I ask myself, because, you know, people like to victim shame, right? Somebody hurts you and they put it on you. Well, I didn't really hurt you. You're just too sensitive. Well, I didn't really hurt you. You just didn't hear me right. Well, I didn't really hurt you. You're just not educated enough in what I know. No, if somebody hurts you, they hurt you. Okay? And how dare somebody hurt you and then try to make you feel bad about what they've done? That's called manipulation. And I've learned that a lot in recent history, how easily somebody can work to manipulate you if you let them. Right. So, knowing your boundaries, knowing your line, it's not good enough to know your line. You have to react to when your line is crossed. And I never suggest reacting in a negative way. But see, I always look at people, and this is how I deal with things. I say, okay, am I overreacting? Am I being too hard on this person? And I say, this is how I figure it out. I say, if I did this to them, how would I feel about myself? If I cheated, right? If I texted somebody that's not my girlfriend, if I said this to a friend, if I if I acted this way towards somebody, how would I expect them to respond to me, right? How would I respond to me if I did it, right? And that's how I really look at, am I overreacting or is this a real thing? Because if I'm hurt by something and I turn it around and say, okay, well, could I text another girl if I was dating somebody? No, I'd feel horrible. I'd want to throw up. I couldn't do it. Well, could I take somebody's trauma in their past and bring it back and use it against them and like shove it in their face? No, that's a horrible thing to do. Could I manipulate and guilt somebody into loving me? Why would you do that? It's like having a prisoner. So you look at stuff like that. And I say to myself, okay, well, if that's not something that I would do, then I shouldn't put up with it, right? I know my boundary lines. And my mistakes of knowing my boundary lines is that, and I said this, I was like, I know why I've been hurt in a lot of relationships. I know why I've been hurt in friendships, and I know I've been hurt in romantic relationships. Because people crossed my line, and I knew my boundary. But I did not do two things in that moment. And sometimes I did one of them, but you got to do them both. When somebody crosses your boundary, you have to tell them that they did. You can't be afraid to do that. Number one, if you're in a relationship and you're afraid to tell somebody something that matters to you, get out. Get out, because you should never be afraid to take care of your health. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about health and well-being. When somebody crosses your boundaries, they have now attacked your health. The longer you let them stay there, the more life they suck out of you. Consider them a leech. If you leave that leech on, you're going to lose a lot of blood. We all have leeches. No matter how many times we try to not have leeches, we all have leeches. But it's what we do to that leech once the leech is latched on. Do we let the leech stay there, or do we get the leech off? And knowing your boundaries is a big part of this. Because knowing your boundaries is your way that you establish your health, your safety, and your well-being. So, the first thing you have to do is when someone crosses your boundary, to tell them, you have crossed my boundary. Okay? After you do that, if they cross it again, if they're a habitual line stepper, then that's when you leave. That is family. And I know this is a touchy subject, and it's deeply rooted in me because I was manipulated into believing that family gets a get out of jail free card at all times. I literally had somebody tell me in my family, if a friend did this to me and a family member did this to me, I can get rid of the friendship, but I have to accept the family. And not only accept the family, but allow them to be around me. If they both committed the same sin, the family gets away with it because they're blood, and the friend can be thrown in the trash because it's not blood. So basically, blood can manipulate you, hurt you, do horrible things to you, be habitual line steppers, and you can't do anything about it because it's your family and you have to accept them for the craziness that they are. No. A virus is a virus is a virus is a virus. If your mother or your brother or your girlfriend or your dad or your grandmother or grandfather or whoever or cousin or aunt or uncle, if they handed you poison, just like a stranger, you would still die. Well, my family told me growing up, if your family hands you poison, drink it and say thank you, even though it'll kill you. That is a horrible thing to teach a child because it creates guilt in the child and it creates manipulation in the child, and it makes the child go into other relationships believing that they have to accept and forgive abuse and stay. So what I was taught as a kid by some people in my family was that when you are manipulated by the people that claim to quote unquote love you, you have to stay with those people that manipulate you. You have to accept their manipulation. You have to thank them for their manipulation. And no matter how many times they screw up, you have to continue to love them. And every time you do something wrong, you have to feel horrible. But when they do something wrong, you have to shut your mouth and not tell them. This weird juxtaposition of when you're wrong, you're wrong. When they're wrong, you're wrong. When they're wrong, don't tell them. When you're wrong, you have to move heaven and earth to fix it with them. I literally had people in my family that if I forgot to put a fork on the table for them, it was World War III. But if they literally did horrible things and said horrible things to me, I had to say thank you. Thank you for swearing at me. Thank you for not calling me. Thank you for making me feel like a lowly civilian. Thank you for talking about somebody in my family and telling me I have to shut up and not tell them that you said something. As a 7-year-old in my family, I had burdens of stress that I wonder why at 30 years later, I felt all of that. Why I had so much baggage that I had to pick up and still to this day throw off of me. Because I still feel guilty cutting family members out of my life, knowing that they were feeding me poison. We have to know our boundaries. And you have to treat everybody the same. A stranger, to your family, to your friends, to your significant other, you have to treat them the same. Okay? You have to treat them the same. I'm not saying, well, you stop being friends with someone. Well, Dan, what if it's my kid that's disrespecting me? I just throw them out in the streets? No. By the way, somebody in my family did do that. That was a horrible thing to do. You don't throw your family out on the streets. Okay? But it is okay to tell someone, either stop doing this or I'm out of your life. And it's as simple as that. Simply said, very hard to do. The guilt that I endured taking family members out of my life was tremendous. To this day, I still feel a little bit of it. I feel like I'm a bad person for doing it. You're not. Your health is more important than any knucklehead that wants to use and abuse the privilege that they have. If somebody hurts you and their response is, well, I'm your family, that is a sick thing to do to somebody, especially a child, because then that child is raised to believe that when people are bad, they're bad, but when people are bad and they're your family, it's okay. Which puts those people in abusive relationships, which eventually puts those people in really bad marriages, which eventually depresses those people. And some people kill themselves. Some people allow themselves to be abused. Some people are constantly, they abuse back. They pass it forward. You should never teach a child that abuse is okay. And you should never teach a child that when your family hurts you, when your blood hurts you, it's different than when another person hurts you that's not your blood. The only people that you should allow in your life are people that love you, appreciate you, and are there for you. You should have nobody in your life when you wake up this morning. You should have nobody in your life that hurts you consistently and has been a habitual line stepper. Knowing your boundaries and crossing those boundaries. And first and foremost, the boundaries of cheating, the boundaries of lying, the boundaries of stealing, the boundaries of abuse. Most people should know those boundaries. You should never have to say to your girlfriend, hey, can you please stop flirting with other guys? You should never have to say to your friends, hey, can you please stop calling me that name that really hurts my feelings? I had a friend make up a song about me that was to the point where I wanted to get out of the moving vehicle onto the road, and I'd rather take my chances not getting hit by a car than sitting in his car. When people cross your boundaries, if you stay in that car, I'm not saying jump out of the car on the highway, but you need to think about, okay, you know what? When this car parks, I'm never getting back in this car again. Tell people your boundaries, stick by them, and when they continue to cross them, leave the situation. Hey, Ma, you crossed my boundary. Can you stop? No. 35 more times. No, don't let it get to 35 more times. Hey, you know what, Mom? I'm not going to talk to you until you stop crossing my boundaries. Hey, Dad, could you not say that to me? Ah, well, it's funny. No, it's not funny, Dad. It hurts my feelings. Don't cross my boundaries. Ah, screw you, son. You got to deal with it. I'm your father. No, I don't. Why don't you not come over until you can figure this out? Right? Girlfriend, please stop flirting with this person. Keeps doing it. Okay. Well, did you stop flirting with that person? Yeah. But now I'm flirting with another person. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave. And I hope your next boyfriend can either deal with this and accept it, or that, you know, they tell you the same thing until you eventually realize that you can't do this to people. Hey, friend. You never call me. I do all the work. My boundary is that I'm not going to be a doormat. Either you start calling me and texting me and making an effort, or we're not going to be friends anymore. I don't really care, Dan. All right, fine. Then we're not friends anymore. See, I've had people guilt me into believing that I'm supposed to keep everybody's phone number that I don't talk to. I'm supposed to keep all these people in my life and keep all these doors open that they can walk back through. No. Some people, you need to shut the door, lock the door, bolt the door, cryogenically freeze the door. Not even cryogenically, because you can come back alive in that. You need to shut the door, lock the door, bolt the door, seal the door, put ice over the door, and then drop it in the Arctic. You know, sometimes you have to do that. You have to be willing to say goodbye to people. I know that one of the biggest problems I have in my life is ending relationships that are volatile, and that comes from a deep-rooted thing in my stomach that I was taught as a child, to accept people that abuse you because you're supposed to. Because you're supposed to forgive everybody and let everybody just be who they want to be. You're supposed to do that, right? You're supposed to accept that. No, you are not supposed to accept that. And how dare anybody tell you to accept that? So if you, like me, were taught to accept constant mediocrity and allow people to do things to you, and it's affected you as an adult in how many people you allow into your life and stay into your life that abuse you, well, then raise your hand and let's start anew today. Let's do it different today. Because no one in your life should cross the boundaries that you've set for yourself and be able to continue to cross those boundaries, because eventually they will push you off a cliff. They will. So we are all responsible for our own happiness and our own well-being, and shame on anyone that tries to take that from us, ruin that from us, or tell us that we're not allowed to make those decisions. Shame on anyone that does that. Because you are the keeper of your happiness. You are the keeper of your well-being. You are the keeper of your life. If somebody consistently hurts you, you have every right to tell that person either stop or get out. And if they don't stop, then get out. We'll take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Café Kubal Studios. When we come back, the top dog of the week, top dogs of the week, we're celebrating Syracuse basketball. That's right, we're going to say positive things about Syracuse basketball. I was out at a restaurant last night, and I was listening to these people talk about Syracuse basketball. Wow, this one guy, you would have thought that he had money on every single game, every single second, the way he was yelling and swearing and screaming and moaning about this Syracuse basketball team. Folks, the team needs time. This is a very new team that hasn't played together for a long time. The leadership on this team, yeah, it's here. There's some leaders on this team, okay? There's some guys that have been here for a while. Maybe not leaders, but there's some veterans on this team, right? There's no true leader on the team right now, except for, there's a couple guys I could think of, like maybe like a Symir Torrance, which might surprise some people because he doesn't get a lot of playing time, which I think is wrong. But the reality of it all, folks, is that this team is growing before your eyes. And they are a team with many new faces. We'll hear from two of the new faces and two of the vets as our top dogs of the week, as I, oh my goodness, say something positive about Syracuse basketball in a world that has already hated them not even 10 games into the season. We'll talk about Syracuse basketball right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we will be joined by Justin Taylor, Jesse Edwards, Joe Girard III, and Maliq Brown. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and Kampground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Kampground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I am honored and privileged to honor our top dogs of the week every single Friday. Proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. Our top dogs of the week this week come from the Syracuse Orange men's basketball team. The team went on the road and won their first ACC game of the season against a then 6-1 Notre Dame team, 62-61, and came home and took care of business, defeating Oakland by 29 as the team continues to learn about each other, work, and grow together on a season where there are many new faces. There are many freshmen. There is a transfer. There has been injuries and guys that have had to be out. So things have happened, and people need to give them time. Crazy. Everybody wants everything so quick. Time. You need it. It's funny. We all want time, but we don't always give time, right? You want it, but you don't give it. You have to be able to give what you want, or you can't ask for it. Can't ask for something you're not willing to give. Syracuse men's basketball is 5-4. They're above 500. And they, after losing 3 games in a row, St. John's in overtime, on a neutral court in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, then to Bryant at home, then to Illinois on the road in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They've now won 2 in a row, and they have what I still consider their biggest rival in their history as a basketball team. And this game is going to be on ABC, as it should be. At 1 o'clock this Saturday, December 10th, they will take on their rival of all rivals, Georgetown. And before that happens, I have the beautiful opportunity of being able to share with you my conversations with Syracuse Orange men's basketball as we honor them as the top dogs of the week for the work they've been putting forward. Because I see you, gentlemen, and I appreciate it. Coming up first, Justin Taylor, one of the new faces on Syracuse's team.
Coming off with a victory against Notre Dame, 62-61, and then coming back here and making a statement with almost a 40-point victory. Just what you can say about where the team's at.
Yeah, I think it's been a great 2 games. I think it was good for us to, first ACC game on the road, get that win. Coming to this game super confident. Oakland's a good team, but, we played really good defense. Offense was a little shaky at times, but we were able to have enough shots. Jesse was super dominant these past 2 games. So, staying, feeding him as much as we can because, not many teams can stop him. So, good 2 games for us. And then, we go to practice and get ready for Georgetown. So,
looking at Jesse and Joe in this game, both 18 points in 23 minutes. Just what you can say about what they did in that amount of time.
Yeah, they've been huge for us. They're two, senior leaders. That's what they do. Obviously, people were talking about Joe. He had 2-3 bad games, but he's bounced back and showed people who he is. We have ultimate trust in him. Obviously, Jesse is super dominant down in the paint. No one can really stop him. So just, coach has been preaching, just keep on feeding the ball until, they double team. If they double team, we have shooters like me, Joe, Chris down the perimeter that can make plays. So, those two guys have been huge for us.
Confidence in your shot. A few games in here, just what you could say about 9 games in, how you feel?
Super confident. Coaches and players just preaching to me, keep on shooting, no hesitation. So that gives me the ultimate green light to, every single time I have any type of daylight, just let me go. So, super confident in my shot, and yeah.
That coming from Justin Taylor once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, where sports truly meets that thing called life, and appreciate having him here on the broadcast. As always, a big fan of Justin Taylor. Big fan of all these guys, and getting to know Justin over time here has been absolutely great. I think he's one of those guys that's really going to blossom and progress at Syracuse. I think he's going to have himself a nice career with the Orange, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Next up here is another new face and name on the team, and somebody who had his best game. Haven't seen him in certain games. Boeheim hasn't put him out there, and then Boeheim decided to put him out in this one. Give him some time. He only played in the second half. So in the first half, and I say only because I want people to know of his statistics that this is all second half stats. Played 16 minutes of the second half, scored 12 points in 16 minutes on 6 of 7 shooting, had 7 rebounds as well, 3 on offense, 4 on defense, and also had an assist in the game and no turnovers, and that is Maliq Brown, the wearer of number 1 on the squad. And Maliq and I have the opportunity to talk and continue the conversation as I honor Syracuse Orange men's basketball as our top dogs of the week, and appreciate them so much for the work that they have put forward in these last couple games to get back on the positive side of things and get above 500. So here is my conversation with Mr. Maliq Brown on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on his career night of 12 points, and getting 12 points in 16 minutes, playing only in the second half of this game. So doing all of it in the second half and getting 7 rebounds. Credit to Maliq Brown for a nice game, and this is what he had to say.
Coming into this game and getting an opportunity in the second half, you outscored Oakland by yourself at 1.6-0. Just what you can say about your offense here in this game.
Today my offense was very dominant, I guess. It just trying to get to my spots and just keep running the court and clean up every rebound that I can grab.
And when Coach Boeheim calls upon you and lets you go out there in a game like this, just what you could say about what you were seeing, because you were able to attack so much inside.
Just doing the same stuff I usually work on and practice. Just going out there in the game and seeing the same stuff is just like good, because my coaches are telling me what to do, and just go out there and do what I got to do to lead to like good outcome.
You end with 12 points. How do you kind of assess yourself right after the game?
I'm happy about my performance, but still more work to do, and just keep improving on my game stuff.
You have leaders like Girard III and Jesse Edwards, who both scored 18, both in 23 minutes. Just what you can say about their leadership out there.
Since the summer, Jesse, Joe, Samir, Bo, they all been good leaders, and just help, especially the 6 freshmen like us, and the other guys that's been here last year, just keep picking it back on it and just being a good role model for the whole team.
There's a lot of opinions from the outside looking in. This team is 5-4 at the time that you and I are talking. How would you describe it? I mean, there's a lot of new faces. You're one of those faces. How comfortable are you guys getting at this point?
The whole team is pretty comfortable. Just it's a lot. Everything's new. Like a lot of new faces. Obviously, 16 freshmen transfer. So just as much as we can improve on our behind, off the court, on the court, just so we can just have better outcomes in our games and close them out the way we should, and just keep picking back on everything else.
That coming once again from Maliq Brown, and mentioning all these new faces. Justin Taylor, who you heard from, Judah Mintz, who has been on the show as well, and also Kadir Copeland, who's been on the broadcast, Peter Carey, Maliq Brown, like I said, that you just heard from, and Chris Bell. They've all been on the broadcast. 6 freshmen and a transfer in Munir Hema coming onto the team as a sophomore. So look at that. 7 new faces, and people, oh, is this team struggling? Well, because they've never played together before in college basketball. Maroons. So, with that being said, give them some time, folks. I know you want them to win. I get it. You want to win. You got to win right now, win right now, win right now, win right now, but it doesn't happen, right? Things that come easily go just as easily. The things that you have to work for that take a lot of time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of what the heck is going on, man, those are the things that you got to appreciate, because the things that take time are the things that mean the most. Taking time to grow, blossom, and excel is who I consider arguably the best center that Syracuse has had in almost 20 years. It's Jesse Edwards. Him and I caught up, and this is what he had to say after the victory over Oakland that put Syracuse back above 500 at 5-4.
18 points in 23 minutes, and the same for Joe Girard. Just what you can say about that interesting stat.
Hey, both the same?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we especially in the second part of the first half and the very start of the second half, we had a couple minutes and we were rolling. And I mean, I guess what we just try to do is make sure the team, even though we're up, make sure that we keep building on the lead and that there's no chance, just put the game away as fast as possible. Glad we could do that today. And then, I guess before we might have not pushed that hard, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun, awesome.
That coming from Jesse Edwards, got some quick time with him there. He didn't know that both him and Joe Girard had 18 points in 23 minutes, that they both had the same stat. But I did tell him, you can say this to Joe, you got this on Joe. You can tell Joe that you both got 18 in 23 minutes, but you went 9-9 and Joe went 7-10. So if you want to get a little leg up on him, you could say that to him. I had the opportunity to catch up with Joe Girard as well, and as our final piece of the top dogs of the week, celebrating Syracuse basketball for their 2-game winning streak, getting back above 500 and starting off 1-0 in the ACC. Top dogs of the week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. Here is Mr. Joe Girard in my conversation with him about his play and what he did in this game, as well as how he responds to all the negativity that's out there when it comes to people having thoughts from the outside looking in.
18 points in 23 minutes, just what you can say about how you felt after this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody was just clicking on all cylinders. We kind of had a really good game plan of going into knowing what their defense was going to be, and it was just about moving off the ball and picking your spots. And, obviously with having Jesse down there, it draws a lot of attention and takes a lot of pressure off of us and the guards and the wings. So we knew we were going to get open shots, and it was just about making them.
And Jesse, same thing, 18 points in 23 minutes. Just what you can say about that, having that unique statistic.
Yeah, he's a beast. I mean, that's what he does. Especially in games like this when they might not have a true center. It allows us to get the ball to him early and let him do what he does, and then it's going to draw attention and, open up the rest of us.
When you look at, obviously, the outside noise, you're not the only guy here that's had it. Cooney had it a lot. Yeah. When you have those shooting slumps, how do you get through it, and how do you shut off the outside noise?
I just having teammates and coaches like I do. I mean, they've believed in me the whole time I've been here, all 4 years, and just, allowed me to kind of be myself and get through these slumps that might happen. The biggest thing is just get back into the gym. And, I got back in the gym. The coaches were with me, managers with me, teammates with me, just giving me that confidence and seeing the ball go through in the net. Just helps a lot.
Do you even hear the noise anymore?
No, at this point, sometimes it's funny. I actually, before they would tell me never to read it, but at this point, sometimes I just do read it to get a little laugh. It's nothing really that phases me anymore. I'm here playing for Coach Boeheim and the staff and my teammates, and that's really all that matters to me.
You've seen, obviously, different teams here, different personnel. These last couple games, such as a substantial victory against Oakland, and then before this, starting off the ACC, defeating Notre Dame on the road, just what these games have shown you about this year's team.
It's huge. I mean, especially, after that loss we had at Illinois, nobody was really too happy. And you kind of had to turn right around and play an ACC game. So it shows that we got a lot of fight. It shows we got a lot of grit and a lot of ability to win a lot of games. Notre Dame was a really good team. It's still a really good team. Had won a lot of close games at that point, and to know we went in there and won a close game, it was big for us. So I'm really looking forward to moving on. We got another big game on Saturday, but it's one day at a time and one game at a time for us.
And obviously, being a senior, you know that Georgetown is that game that everybody kind of circles. For you, having some history with it, what does this one mean to you?
It means a lot. I think right now I'm down 2-1 in the Georgetown series. They beat us both times when we played there, and we won the last time we played here. But I'm just looking forward to get back out there. I know there'll be a lot of people in the stands who have played in it, coached in it, and been around it a long time, and I know how much it means to them. And we understand that, and we want to represent the Orange as well as we can.
That coming from Joe Girard here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and truly appreciate the time that each of these gentlemen has taken here. So thankful for all of them that have been here on the broadcast, and really honestly can't thank them enough for being a part of the show here where sports meets life, and honoring them as the top dogs. Listen, they deserve it. They're working hard. I love what Joe has to say. Like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes I read this stuff just to have a laugh, right? Sometimes I go and I read the stuff that people write about me just to laugh about it. Shows the evolution of, because at first I'm sure it wasn't easy to see it. Wasn't easy for the family to see it. But you get to a point where you say, you know what? These people don't know me. And everybody's got an opinion. That's the thing. No matter what you do in your life, people are going to have an opinion. Okay? Jesus was perfect, is perfect, will always be perfect. A perfect being walked among us, cured the sick, helped people, did the impossible, and people still thought, nah, we should kill him. How crazy is that? Right? You stoned perfection. Put a crown of thorns on perfection. Spit at perfection. I said if Jesus was here right now and there was a live video of him turning water into wine, there'd be a bunch of people on Twitter saying, no, I see the filter. It's not real. This is a doctored video. Everybody's a critic, right? It's the same thing. On a small scale, on a smaller scale than God, right? Obviously, everything's below God. With Joe Girard, with anybody, right? You know how many people have an opinion about Joe Girard? And it's reminiscent of Trevor Cooney to me. Well, he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. Okay, well, why don't you get on the floor and do it? Okay? Why don't you get on the floor? These guys are trying. They're not trying to lose. They're not trying to struggle. They're not trying to piss you off in your lazy boy recliner. They're trying to win. And yeah, you can constructively criticize something. You can. But you always have to think about, if I saw this person face to face and they were standing in front of me, could I say this stuff to them? And if you can say yes, I hope I never meet you. I really do. Because if you can be a hateful, vile human being, and then you could be like, well, I could be hateful and vile to their face too. Well, then I hope you and I never get to meet each other. Or that if we do get to meet each other, I hope I help change you for the better. I hope I help warm your cold heart. Because you got to be some type of human being to be that much of a jerk. I understand people get frustrated. I get that. And every single year, fans get frustrated. And we talk about it. Right? And the thing we're going to talk about after the fast break, I know people are frustrated about that right now. And I understand. I get it. But let's be real about something. You're not playing the game. You're not on the court. You buy tickets or you live in the community. And yeah, you should care. Of course you should. But there's a way of caring about a team, and there's being a jerk. All right? There's things that these kids hear you say that stick with them. Okay? And I love the fact that Joe smiles and says, hey, Lynn, listen, I've constructively criticized this team. And Joe and I have gotten closer and closer and closer and closer. There is a way to talk about something you don't necessarily agree with or you don't understand. There's a way to talk about it without being a jerk. Okay? There's a way of saying, okay, Joe's in a slump and this has gone on, but is it just Joe? Is it just Joe? If Joe scored 30 points a game, Syracuse would probably win every game. Okay? They probably would. Most teams would. How many teams have a 30-point consistent scorer in college basketball? I'll wait for you to get me the list. Out of 300-plus Division I men's basketball teams, how many of them have a guy who averages 30 points a game? How many NBA teams have a guy who averages 30 points a game? Does LeBron score 30 every game? So shut up about it. Joe Girard is not going to hit 7 threes every game. Neither was Trevor Cooney. Maybe Steph Curry. Maybe Steph. But there's games where Steph doesn't make 7. There's games where Steph doesn't make any. There's games where Steph makes 3. But you still love Steph Curry, and you still buy them jerseys. Well, Steph is a champion. Well, he's not a champion every year. Joe Girard, like Trevor Cooney, has taken a lot of heat over a very long period of time. He got 100 career straight starts this last game. Was that the story? No. The story was, oh, Syracuse won and he's shooting pretty well again. There are things that Joe can get better at. There's things that I can get better at. And I'm sure that the people that critique Joe Girard and me, there's many things you can get better at too. So you can be frustrated, you can be upset, but you can stop being a jerk about it. Because you're the same people that will buy a Joe Girard jersey that will crucify Joe Girard. And I love the fact that he told me, hey, I was told a long time ago, don't read any of the things that people write about you. But sometimes I read them just to have a laugh. And he said that to me publicly. He knew it would get out there. Hey, I want to let you guys know, I laugh at your stuff. I laugh at your hate. And it's hard to do sometimes. And we're not perfect, and we all have moments. But if you can laugh at if you can laugh at other people's opinions of you that you know are not true, good for you. That's a highly evolved brain. It's a highly evolved person. It's a highly evolved being to be able to laugh in the face of hate. And it takes a long time to get there. So, shout out to Joe, who, mind you, is still a kid, a young man, having to deal with all this stuff. And I love our relationship. And when Joe scores 0 points, I'll talk to Joe. And when Joe scores a ton of points, I'll talk to... I knew everybody was going to talk to Joe in this game. I knew that. And I knew a couple games ago, there was a couple of us that talked to Joe. Because that's how it works. Most of the media goes where, oh, this guy played good. Let's go to him. And the players see that. I'll go to Joe whenever. I went to Jeremy Grant and Trevor Cooney the year that they were barely playing, if they were playing at all. And I would like to think they've never forgotten that. So, and I talked to Jesse, same thing. I've been talking to Jesse when Jesse was getting 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I didn't care. I was talking to John Bolajak. I will go and talk with all of these people. I think everybody on the team's been on the show already. The new guys and the returners. Because I do my due diligence to try and make sure I'm talking to everybody. I love talking to Cy. I don't think Cy gets as much time as he deserves ever. But I'll talk to him because I respect him. And I think he's the truest of true point guards that Syracuse has had in a very long time. A very selfless player. Who, like he did to Oakland, will look you in the eye and go, oh, you want me to take this? Bang. You want me to do it again? Bang. Syracuse has got talented guys. They got good guys. And thank goodness for our community, they have guys who bite their tongue when you outrageously disrespect them. I'm not saying a fan can't have an opinion. I'm saying don't be a jerk, because there is a stark difference. And no matter what these guys do, I'm trying, and they can always be on my show, because I respect people that chase their dreams. And I don't have any respect for people that talk about their dreams and don't do a dang thing about it. I don't respect that. I respect you as a child of God, but in the world of you want to tell everybody how to live your life and you don't even know how to live your own, because normally that's the case. The people that have all the time in the world to tell people how to live their life, those are the people that are not living their life. Because I don't have time to talk about other people's lives. I don't gossip. I talk about my own life and things that have happened to me. I don't know what's going on with this, that, and the other. When I break up with somebody, I don't check up on her and see what she's up to and, oh my gosh, did you hear that this is happening? No, I don't care. I wish him the best and I go on my merry way. You know? Dan, did you hear this show? Da da da. No, because I'm working on mine. Well, how could you not have listened to that show? Because I have a show. I don't have time to go and listen to everybody else's show because I have work to do. Right? The people that are actually going after it in life, we don't have time to hear the hate that you're spewing. And the time that we spend looking at it, if we do look at it, is time that we're not spending on our careers, on our visions, on our dreams. People that have time to attack people, they're typically the people that are not working hard enough at themselves and their own lives. Because if they were, they wouldn't have time. And you say, well, Dan, you're a broadcaster. You critique things, so you have the time to do it. Listen to how I critique. Sometimes I get frustrated. Sometimes I get upset. But at the end of the day, I would never want to disrespect someone and never want to put somebody in a position where they could come up to me and say, hey, what you said about me really hurt me. And if they said that, I'd be the first to apologize. Do I agree with everything that Dino does? No. But do I ever want that man to be hurt by me? Absolutely not. I never want to be the bad part of someone's day. Ever. And I know the weight of having a microphone. I know the importance of having a microphone and having a voice. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't feel like they have a voice. And I'm here for you. But the moment you disrespect me or you disrespect somebody else, I'm not your voice. Okay? I'm not the voice of the hate out there. I am the voice that combats that every day. And I always will be. I will never lead the pitchforks and the torches. I will always be the one at the drawbridge trying to guard the castle. Because that's how I was taught by the God that I love. You can talk about things, but you always do it with the thought of, okay, think about it like this. Every time you talk about Joe Girard, picture his mother sitting next to you. Picture his mom sitting next to you. Would you say all of that on a microphone if she was sitting right next to you? Most people, I would like to think, would say no. And then the people that would, God help us. God help us. The person that would sit next to my mom and talk poorly about me, right? Normally that's a little gut check, like, I probably shouldn't do that, right? We can all have an opinion. But we should all be respectful, be kind, and remember that if we're talking about somebody in a way that we would never want someone to talk about us, we should learn to shut our mouths, think before we open them, and be cognizant of the golden rule. Treat others as you would like to be treated. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll head to the Cuse Coaching Carousel inside of the Cafe Kubal studios right after this.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Café Cubal needs. Café Cubal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Cuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York. Coming to you, fall 2022. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Café Cubal studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Always appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. On Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, and of course on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage. So however you're connected with the show, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us, like I said, inside of these Cafe Cooler, as well as by Call with Dan Tortora. To finish off the broadcast, inside of MonProzPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' with that Syracuse logo. And that is our time to talk about what I'm calling the C cubed, the Cuse Coaching Carousel. Tony White, gone to Nebraska. Robert Anae, gone to NC State? Let's discuss. Now, if you go on the Cuse website this morning, because I always wonder, how quickly teams take things off and make changes and whatnot. Syracuse's website right now, in the moment, at 11 o'clock in the morning, at 11:01 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, December 9th, the coaches are still on the website. Robert Anae is still on as offensive coordinator, tight ends coach, and inside receivers coach. And Tony White is still on as defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. They have not been taken off. Jason Beck has not been elevated to offensive coordinator at this time. Still on the website. But Tony White on to Nebraska. Robert Anae on to NC State. Lateral moves. I said we'd bookend it. The coaches leaving are part of my annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. And now, at the conclusion of today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we're here to talk about it even more so. Tony White leaving Syracuse for an even worse program. Nebraska. Tony White came to Syracuse, and the old defensive coordinator was the best offensive coordinator for every team that Syracuse played. He allowed so many points, I thought he was the other team's offensive coordinator, more than a defensive guy. I say that repeatedly because it was true. He allowed 31 points and 38 points a game, I believe, in his first 2 seasons at Syracuse. And in the last 3 games of that one season where Pitt and Syracuse played a basketball game on the football field, he allowed over 50 points a game. I believe it was 54 points a game in the last 3 games. Then after 4 seasons, he was let go. And in comes Tony White from Arizona State. And he says, we're going to play a 3-3-5 defense. Syracuse fans go, what? And here we go. And they lean on the defensive backs. And they start bringing guys in, building guys up. And Syracuse starts getting better. My thought was, 3-3-5, man, I like 4 sets of hands in the dirt. How are they going to do with 1 less D lineman? Well, the answer? Pretty darn well. Syracuse's defensive line has continued to attack the quarterback in the 3-3-5. The linebackers have continued to be effective. And Syracuse continues to have a secondary that keeps reloading, not rebuilding, reloading. Andre Cisco goes to the NFL. Jaguars, what up? Got my Cisco files that I do. Every home game we talk to each other, pretty much. Ifeatu Melifonwu with the Detroit Lions. And Trill Williams with the Miami Dolphins. So what happens after that? Well, Elijah Clark steps up. Deuce Chestnut steps up as a true freshman. And Dino Baber says to me, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said this to me last year, that he doesn't think he's ever seen a true freshman in his history of coaching at any position be as good as Deuce Chestnut. Then you got Garrett Williams, guy who's going to the NFL. A guy who I've talked to scouts about that came to see him this year. A guy who in one game had an interception, a fumble forced, and a fumble recovery. Man's a beast. God willing, he gets healthy and stays well forever for the rest of his life. Just like I pray for everybody to be well and stay well all the days of our lives. In Jesus' most precious name. Amen. So guys, step up. Jihad Carter, he steps up. Eric Coley steps up. And Tony White's defense continues to be good no matter who's in it, which tells me that the scheme is good and that they're getting the right players. Because if Syracuse continue to be individually good on defense, but terrible overall, well, that would tell me something about coaching. And it has been quite the opposite. So Tony White has been a whisperer of the defense. Best part of Syracuse's defense since Scott Schaefer, who's a blitzing maniac, and I love every minute of it. And it's funny because as I mention him, Gene writes into the show, bring back Scott Schaefer. Greg says, heading to a worse program, but why am I more optimistic and confident Nebraska will win 6 or more games in 2024 than the Orange? I agree with you. Because they're getting Tony White. That's why. Because Syracuse has become complacent with mediocrity. Syracuse fired a coach. In Paul Pasqualoni, who, by the way, has been able to work all over the NFL and college football since that firing. Was a head coach at UConn, an assistant at Boston College, worked for the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, the Houston Texans, and so on and so forth. Every time Paul Pasqualoni tries to retire, somebody pulls him in a week or two later, a few months later. He's obviously built a track record that didn't care that Syracuse fired him. He got fired for being 6-6 in back-to-back years. Let me tell you something. Syracuse now begs to get to 6-6. Would love to get to 6-6. We're going to a bowl game. That's become Syracuse's national championship. Just getting to 6 wins and getting to a bowl game. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. I was taught that. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. So if you fight for 6-6 and that's what you think you're going to be, you can get there. But you're probably going to be 1-10, 4-8, 3-9, 5-7. Because you get to keep the limitations you fight for. That's reality. Alabama considers themselves to have a poor season. Alabama fans have told me it's a bad season if we don't win a national championship. I can't imagine what they're thinking right now with their hair on fire. There's people that said that put the juxtaposition together in the ACC. Just in the ACC. Clemson had a 10-3 season, and fans thought it was a down year. Syracuse's best season in over 2 decades was their 10-3 season. Enough said, right? Scott Schaefer and his staff were changing this program for the better. Now the staff that changes the program for the better leaves. Coaches have been running out of this program. Some of them fired, some of them leaving. I said jokingly, but seriously, that you can say that Tony White and Robert Anae entered the transfer portal. The news of this happening is so bad because it takes Syracuse forever and a day to get to a bowl game, let alone to get to 2 in 7 years under Dino Babers. And en route to their bowl game, 3 weeks before that bowl game happens, to the T, 3 weeks before, 21 days before the bowl game happens, Syracuse fans find out that their coordinators are gone and probably not going to coach in the bowl game, I would imagine, because it's more atypical for a coach to coach in a bowl game when they are announced to go to another team than it is of them coaching in it. I think I know one coach that coached in a bowl game in all the years that I can think about coaches, head coaches, and assistants leaving to go somewhere else. I can remember one coach that coached in the bowl game after he said he was leaving. 99.9% of the time, they say they're leaving, and they leave. It's reality. So, seeing these gentlemen on the sidelines, I'd probably say no. And I'd probably really say no about seeing Coach Anae on the sidelines because he's going to another team in the same division, even though divisions are going away. He's going to another team that's been in the same division as Syracuse and is in the same conference as Syracuse. I don't imagine that he's going to be there. Now, they could surprise me and they could say, hey, we stick by our guys. And if they did, shout out to Tony White and Robert Anae's men. They're better men than other men out there. Because 99.9% of the time when a coach says he's leaving, he does not coach in the bowl game, be him a head coach or an assistant coach. I'm honestly sitting here telling you I very rarely, if ever, see that. If ever do I see that. And it's sad, but it's true. You could have seen the last of these guys. And here's the thing that hits even more. Did you even know what they looked like? Some people don't even know some people don't even know what their voices sound like. Because one thing that I will say, constructive criticism of Dino Babers, is he does not let the media talk to any of his coaches. None of his coaches. Not his quality control, not his assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant, not the water boy. Nobody. Nobody. And I think that it's a travesty. And I don't know why he does it. If he wants to be the only voice and he doesn't want anybody else saying anything, if he's paranoid, if there's an ego to it, if he doesn't want the coaches to be out there to have an opportunity to get another job. But look they get one anyways. So I don't know what the reason is. I'm not in Dino's head. But I can say that it's ridiculous that we don't get to talk to them. When Tony White got the job, Tony White and I spoke off the air. And we were setting up an interview. And then I get this message of, you can't talk to them. And I'm like, well, the newspaper talked to them. So if we're all equal, why are we not all equal? So I was supposed to talk to Tony when he got the job. But assistant coaches don't talk. I don't know what Coach Anae's voice sounds like. I don't. I don't know what Tony's voice sounds like. We never hear them. They're ghosts. And now they're truly ghosts. Because these two gentlemen have literally become invisible. They're gone. Tony White, after changing an entire defense, a scheme, and building such a good scheme and recruiting so well that when you lose the best of them, the rest of them are pretty darn good. And Robert Anae, who came in after leading Virginia's offense to be, I believe, the second most productive offense in the country last year of 130 FBS teams, and then he comes to Syracuse. And look at Virginia this year, one of the only teams in the ACC to not make a bowl game. The year that him and Coach Beck leave, the offense can't get moving. They look different. They feel different. And he comes to Syracuse, and yeah, there were moments where people were banging their heads against the wall. But things look better. Things look like they were moving up. And they started to move down. And I think fans are probably more okay with Coach Anae leaving than they are with Coach White leaving. Because Coach White, and what did I say? What did I say at the beginning of the year? I'm not going to sit here and glorify Robert Anae as an incredible offensive coordinator because it had only been at that point like half a season. I said, I don't think it's going to be one season. I think if he does it over a series of 3 seasons, then I can say he's a really good offensive coordinator. If he does it from year to year consistently, give him a couple years in it, give him 3 years in it, and I can say that. Well, Tony White did it for 3 years at Syracuse. I can say he's a darn good defensive coordinator, and I think he's going to be a head coach someday. I really do. I think he's going to be a head coach. Gene says, what are the chances Lenora Sellers flips now? Well, I was nervous about Lenora Sellers before any of this happened. Reason being, I've been covering recruiting and the recruiting trail for a very long time. And on social media, when a player says he's committed somewhere and you never see anything but the place he's committed to, that's good, right? When a guy or a girl commits somewhere and then they continue to show you the other offers that they're getting, Lenoris did that months ago. I think he got an offer from Tulane at the time that I was looking, and he said, I would, after a great conversation with Tulane or whatever, I'd like to say that, I got an offer from Tulane. Normally when somebody's committed and they shut down their recruiting, even if they get other offers, they don't tell you publicly. When a player tells you publicly that other people are offering, that means, in my mind at least, that they're not 100% gung-ho on where they're going. So when he started putting up his other offers after committing to Syracuse, add that in on top of these coaches now leaving, I'm very concerned about Lenora Sellers. Also, with the fact that Carlos Del Rio Wilson has gotten some time out there, and not only has he gotten some time out there, but we're looking at a situation where Carlos Del Rio Wilson has gotten time out there, and Garrett Schrader told me to my face, even though the media takes it as their own, when I asked him the question, he said, as of right now, I'm coming back. Let me tell you this, I will end my college career at Syracuse. But now, does he look at flipping? Because now he's got to have a new offensive coordinator, but probably not, because his new offensive coordinator is his quarterback's coach, Jason Beck. And I want to thank and congratulate the Beck family. I love the Beck family because they're so positive. You should follow Jason Beck. You should also follow his wife, Jamie, because she is extremely positive. She might be one of the most positive fans Syracuse has ever had, and she's only been a fan for not even a calendar year. So I think Garrett Schrader is probably going to stay because his quarterback coach is his coordinator. When your position coach becomes the coordinator of the team, that's great for you. Because you're thinking, well, this guy knows my position more than anything. So him being a coordinator, well, that's my dude, right? So that's good for Garrett Schrader. Is it good for Lenora Sellers? We'll see. But I was concerned when Lenora started posting his new offers after he committed to Syracuse. Because if I'm committed somewhere, I'm not going to, hey, thank you, Tulane, because that's going to create, I would think as a player, if I committed to Syracuse and I got offered by South Carolina, Tulane, Texas, UCLA, and I started posting all those, I would think that now, because a commitment is a verbal thing, it's not signed, and your words should matter, but I'm thinking if I post that, I'm going to get a call from Dino. I'm going to get a call from Jason Beck. I'm going to get a call from the staff saying, hey, are you committed to us? Now, maybe they're not as committed to me. Maybe they go get another quarterback. I don't want to do anything to jeopardize what I have, right? It's like saying, okay, think about it like this in recruiting. It's like saying, I have a girlfriend, her name's Stacy, but I would like to thank Tiffany for asking me out, Heather for asking me out, Yolanda for asking me out, and Kim for asking me out, right? Why am I thanking all these women for asking me out if I'm happy with Stacy? That's a red flag to me. And I've kept that in the back of my head since I saw it, way before this move happened. So, Gene, to answer your question, I didn't feel good about Lenoris 100% since then. I know Donovan McNabb called him, and he told me that in the interview we did together, that was a huge part of him committing to Syracuse, was the call from Donovan McNabb. And why wouldn't it be? Right? One of the best, and to some people, the best Syracuse quarterback of all time. Extremely successful in the NFL. So, here we are this morning. Syracuse has lost 2 and didn't gain any. They elevated 1. So, who's the new quarterback coach? Who's the new defensive coordinator? Who's going to coach the linebackers since Coach Anae did that? Or pardon me, since Tony White did that. Who's going to coach the inside receivers and the tight ends since that was part of Robert Anae being the offensive coordinator? Who's going to take on all these other jobs? Dino, does he know enough people? Because I question that sometimes of who does he know in the business, because it doesn't seem like any of these people know him. It's like he's bringing people in. Think about it. Coach and I, what was the connection? Right? What was the connection to Tony White? Are you just hiring guys you think might be good at the job? Or are you hiring people you have a relationship with? Because it's a lot harder to break a relationship up of people who are close. And how much does Dino trust them and how much do they trust Dino? Why can't they talk to the public? To me, it is a travesty because I like to build relationships. I like to build bridges. I like to build bonds. Not getting to know these coaches, they come and go. So I might never get to talk to Tony White. I might never get to talk to Robert Anae. I might never get to know them as people because we're not allowed to talk to them. Right? And then they're gone. And I think that that's a disservice to the community. I think it's a disservice to the media. And I think it's a disservice to people like me who aren't looking to twist their words around and just want to build relationships with the people that are representing my city, not Dino's city, my city. You look at this staff, and there's only a handful of people that started with Dino that are still here. Mike Lynch, who was a co-offensive coordinator that got downgraded to a running backs coach, he's still here. Nick Monroe, who's the defensive passing game coordinator and safeties coach, he's still here. Sean Edinger is still here, assistant AD of athletic performance. And Brad and Roy Whitkey, Brad, the associate AD football operations, and Roy, the director of player personnel. Everybody else wasn't with Dino 7 years ago. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Whitkey family, Nick Monroe, Sean Edinger, and Mike Lynch are the only guys left on this entire staff that were with Dino from the beginning. That's it. That's not good, folks. Well, Dan, that's what happens. It's college football. No. And when you're a really good program, Greg, shout out to bringing this up. I agree with you. When you're a really good program, and this is another thought that I had, and then it's nice to, see other people are along these same wavelengths. If you're a really, really good program, a strong program, a program that could be in the college football playoff and New Year's Six Bowls every year, you're going to lose coaches. Maybe after a couple years. Probably not immediately. But when you're a barely making a bowl game team and you're losing coaches, they're not leaving a great program. And they're not going to become head coaches. I thought Robert Anae had the chance to become a head coach. He's making a lateral move to become the offensive coordinator of NC State. I thought Tony White would become a head coach. He's making a lateral move to become the defensive coordinator of Nebraska. This is not a good sign for Syracuse. It's quite arguably the worst offseason they've ever had with coaches. Last season, they let Vincent Reynolds go. And I thought the defensive line was the best unit on the entire team. So you let go of the position coach that had the best position of the entire team. That didn't make any sense either. So you've let people go that don't make sense, and then people are running out of here. See, I didn't think Coach and I had like a deep-rooted thing with Dino, like, okay, yeah, we love each other, we're brothers, we're family. And that shows. I didn't think Tony White had that. And it shows. It shows. Now, for Jason Beck, right, why would you stay? Right, you've been with Coach and I for a minute. You've been around because you get to be an offensive coordinator. And maybe Jason Beck does this for a year or two, and then maybe he goes. Because what's his connection to Dino, right? It's all about relationships in life. People don't get that. You could be really good at your craft, but if you suck at relationships, it will catch up with you. You could be working for a great company that's got a lot of pull, but if you suck at relationships, it'll catch up with you. If you're not good at building bridges, building bonds, being honest, true, and somebody that people can lean on and believe in and know is going to come through, that will eventually catch up with you. And I'm saying that about anybody. There's people in business that I'm wondering, how are you possibly still in business? Not wishing bad on them. Never wishing bad on them at all. Not wishing bad at all. Just thinking about all the people they screwed over. I only hear negative things about them. How are there still people left if they haven't screwed over yet? But if they keep going down that road, they will run out. You will run out. Now, I'm not saying Dino's doing that. I'm making an example here. It's all about relationships. It is all about relationships. And anybody that doesn't know that is not intelligent. Okay? I know it's all about relationships. If businesses just worked for me and said, make me money, monkey boy. Don't go dance for me. Go run around in my zoo and go on the jungle gym. If that was all businesses that work with me, if that's all they would, just make me money. Just make me money. I can't stand those people because it's never enough. The people that are just make me money, cut and dry, make me money, bottom line, make me money. Those are some of the worst people to ever work with, ever in the history of mankind, because it's never good enough. They complain every day. You can hand them $1 million and ask you why it's not 2. And I can't stand working with those people. I don't, because I weeded them out. I work with businesses that I put all my blood, sweat, and tears into helping, and we have great relationships. And we meet as strangers, and we work as business partners, and 99.9% of the time we become friends. And you work with the people that you want to work with, the people that you trust, and the people you believe in. The people that if they brought you one person, yeah, you want them to bring you 100 and 1,000, you'll take all those people. But if they brought you one person, you know that's going to be a quality person because they're a quality person. That's who I work with. My friends, I have no yes people in my life. None. But I've weeded out my friends that disrespect me, try to get me to second guess myself, constantly want me to be paranoid. Those people are gone. The people that call me up and give me bad information and try to spread drama with me. Hey, did you see this? Did you see that? The things that people tell you knowing that it can only hurt you and never help you, those people are gone. It's all about relationships. Right? I don't have listeners. I have relationships with my listeners. I talk to them, go to games with them, sit with them, hang out with them. If I see them at the Dome, come over, say hi, shake my hand. I don't like to just walk out and just like run away from somebody. Somebody go, hey, Dan, how you doing? I'm going to sit and talk with you. I played flag football against my listeners and with my listeners. I love those fantasy football. Connect with my listeners and my viewers and my readers and whatever. I fly down to Florida every single year to draft with people that listen to my show when I was on ESPN 1080 The Team in Florida. I've spent 12 years with those people. And I love them to pieces. And I've built friendships with all of them because they matter to me. It's all about relationships. Why do you think those people show up? I could fly all the way down to Florida and they could not show up. Right? Why do you think they show up? It's about building bonds, bridges. Syracuse doesn't build bridges, they burn them. And that is catching up. And you're hiring people that have no allegiance to the community. Thanks to Dino and the school, they don't know the community because they're not allowed to talk to anybody. So unless they take it upon themselves to get out there, they're not out there. It would be really hard for me. And I have a good relationship with Dino. I do. I'm saying this from my heart because I'm never going to lie to you. It would be really hard for me to be on Dino's staff if he told me I wasn't allowed to talk to the media or to the community. I couldn't do that because I would feel like I'm a jerk. I would feel like, I mean, in jerk, I'm being nice. I would feel like I'm an A $sign. I would. That's how I would feel. If I didn't talk to the community, that's exactly how I would feel. Right? I don't want to talk to the community. And that's the thing is, when you're a coach that doesn't talk to the community and your assistants don't talk to the community, we don't care that you're selling something on a commercial because you're not talking to the community. You're not here. Right? You got to be here. You got to be with us. I call it hand-to-hand combat, kind of as a joke, because it's not combat. But I go out and I talk to people. Genuinely. Right? I was at Pizza Man last night. I'm going and talking to people. People I know, people I don't know. It's what I do. Because you build those relationships. I was at Pizza Man last night setting up Off the Rails with Al Romano. And I'm setting it up and there's a kid in front of me and him and his family keep looking at me on stage. And then he's got his phone out and he's like, hey, he's like, can I ask what you're doing here? And I told him. And he goes, and he got up and he goes, do you remember me? Turned and showed me a picture. 4 years ago, he played Liverpool boys lacrosse. Jacob Fahey. And he showed me a picture. He goes, you talked to me 4 years ago. Now I'm a senior at Assumption playing on their lacrosse team and he's wearing his Assumption gear. He said, do you remember me? And then we took a picture together. 4 years had gone by. That kid just so happened to be at Pizza Man at that time. That's a Godism to me. It's a God incidence. He just so happened to be there. We crossed paths. He remembered me. His dad still had the picture on his phone of the show. And he came up to me and told me it's great to see you again. And just wanted to talk with me. Just wanted to remind me, you talked to me. And he never forgot that. And it mattered enough to him that one time that we met, the one time we sat together 4 years ago, sitting in the same room together for a couple hours 4 years ago, meant enough to him for him to come up to me, talk with me, remind me of that day, and ask me how I'm doing. It's all about relationships. When you burn bridges, you run out of places to drive. When you build bridges, there's never going to be a place you can't go. Syracuse, right now, has Jason Beck. I'm really happy about that. But they don't have Tony White and Robert Anae. We don't know what Coach Anae would have been to this team because he was here for 5 minutes. We know that losing Tony White is losing something really substantial. And it could end up being that both of these things are substantial. And what a slap in the face with Robert Anae going in conference. And I'm not knocking him for this. I'm just stating something here. Him going in conference to a team that was in Syracuse's division, even though divisions are going away. But in conference to a team that Syracuse will have to see and have to potentially go up against, and have to go up against this guy. Right? How sad is that moment for Syracuse? Because Syracuse, and here's the irony, put this together. When Syracuse played Virginia this year, what was the storyline? Coach Anae and Coach Beck take on their former team for the first time. Now Syracuse is on the other line, another side of that storyline. Coach Anae is going to take on Syracuse like he took on Virginia. You don't know what Coach Anae could have done because he didn't have enough time. I said, I can't sit here and glorify him as a great offensive coordinator because I need to see him for like 3 seasons. I said that to Isaac here in the studio. Tony White, we know. We know he's good. And I think Tony White's going to be a head coach. But seeing these guys take lateral moves to other programs is not good. NC State's better than Syracuse, but not, oh my gosh, better. They're better, right? I trust them to get to 7-8 wins a season, way more than I trust Syracuse to do it. Nebraska, that team could go defeated. They could be 0-12, and it wouldn't surprise me. And that's where Tony White goes. So, this morning, it's tough. I had someone who's a huge fan of the program send me a message last night, said, it feels like a dream. I said, not a dream, a nightmare. A nightmare. Because normally, your offensive coordinators both go in the same year when you fire them to save your job as head coach. Dino didn't fire these guys. They ran to situations that they believe are better. And I'd sit here and say, how is Nebraska, and I love Matt Rule, how is Nebraska better? And to Coach Anae, I would say, okay, what is it about NC State? Closer to Virginia, maybe? Maybe you came to Syracuse and said, I can't see myself living here. I want to go closer to Virginia. But whatever it is, where is the allegiance? Where are the bonds? Where are the bridges being built? And why is Syracuse not holding a press conference? Why is Dino not going to the podium right now to keep people from jumping off the boat? Why, again, is there silence on Syracuse's hill? That, to me, as I've learned many times, sometimes silence screams louder than somebody actually screaming for real. This has been Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning, and we're happy to be here with you. And Greg said, quite possibly bring over some of their recruited athletes. Absolutely, right? That's your selling point. That's your selling point. When you go to another team, that head coach may ask you, hey, who do you have good relationships with? You think we can get them? Think about it like this. NC State just lost Devin Leary. Lost him to injury, then lost him to the transfer portal. Robert Anae, he was going to be coaching Lenora Sellers. Lenora Sellers plays in South Carolina. North Carolina is a lot shorter of a trip than Syracuse. So if I'm Dave Doran and I just lost Devin Leary and I bring in Robert Anae, I am sure as heck going to try and get Lenora Sellers off of that relationship. Absolutely. It's the perfect situation. You got a Carolina kid with a coach who has a relationship with him, and you just lost your quarterback. And what does Dave Doran and Robert Anae say to Lenora Sellers? If you go to Syracuse, Garrett Schrader's a starter. If you come here, we're looking for the guy. You could start right away. Would you like to start right away? And in today's microwave society, what are they going to say? No, I would like to sit on the bench and wait. You're not going to find a lot of people like that. I'll tell you that much. So here we are in a situation where, like nothing, we could see Lenora Sellers go, other guys go. We've already seen a bunch of offensive players jump into the portal. They've all been offensive. You can argue Don Foster's a wide receiver and a DB, but they've all been offensive. Now, look at the social media. Look at Deuce Chestnut's reaction. All these guys' reactions. Don't be surprised if that portal that was already getting big for Syracuse early, if it gets bigger. And on top of all of this, the early signing period is here in December. Syracuse lost both their coordinators before the early signing day. If I'm Dino Babers, I am on the phone with every single recruit that I have committed right now, including Lenora Sellers, and you got to pitch them something beautiful. You got to pitch them something good. You really do. And you better be telling the truth. Because where we are right now, Syracuse as a program, the worst possible time to lose your coordinators. The worst possible time. Not that there's ever a good time. But in December, folks, we are in early recruiting. And Syracuse only has 10 commits. Rashard Perry from Bennett, who just won a state title, shout out to them, in Class AA. Defensive lineman from Bennett and Buffalo. Ike Daniels from Mountain View in Stafford, Virginia. That could be a call from Coach Anae. Lenora Sellers, we talked about. David Clement, who I had on the show here from Christian Brothers Academy, not in Syracuse, in Albany. Jaden Bass from Springfield, Massachusetts, Springfield Central, offensive tackle. Bryce Cahoon, a wide receiver from Kansas. Muwafaq Parkman, an athlete from New Jersey, from Hillside. Jalil Smith from Abraham Lincoln in Brooklyn. Zion Moultrie Goddard, a linebacker from Iona Prep in New Rochelle, New York. And Lysander Moolo from Texas, from Navarro College. And they haven't had anybody commit to Syracuse since Halloween. There's only 10. There's only 10. And you've just lost at least 5 to the transfer portal. Think about that. It's on the hill. And silence, as I have learned, can be deafening. The best way to handle a not great situation is to get ahead of it. Syracuse should have had a press conference set for this morning. Without doubt. They need to hold a press conference. How are you supposed to sell tickets to a bowl game when Dino has said Sean Tucker has either played his last game or will play his last game in the bowl game? Plus, you have a bunch of guys that are in the transfer portal. And now you have your two coordinators gone. How are you going to sell tickets to the Pinstripe Bowl when the fan base was already 5 and how the second half of the season was? We've talked about all that. But fans were already upset. I'm just stating some here, not saying how I feel. Fans were already upset, and they lost their coordinators, and the transfer portal is busy already against Syracuse, not for Syracuse. And there's only 10 hard commits to the team right now for 2023. And you're not going to hold a press conference? You're just going to hope that the tickets sell themselves. You know what people are wondering right now? If I go to the Pinstripe Bowl and I spend all my hard-earned cash, who's going to play? Who's not on the team anymore? Who is on the team? Who's not on the team anymore? Who is on the team that's not going to play? Who's going to coach these guys? And what's the future going to look like? The Pinstripe Bowl has now been completely overshadowed by the fact that only bad news has come out of Syracuse in the transfer portal, in the lack of commits, and in your two coordinators leaving. The bright spot, the Beck family is staying. Besides that, what else are Syracuse fans excited about right now for football? And everybody's worried about Lenora Sellers. And I was concerned about it before this happened. So Syracuse's only option is to have a press conference. Not to put out a public release or press release, but to have a press conference. If you're afraid to answer our questions, that tells me something. You should not be afraid to answer our questions. The community wants answers. You cannot continue to ask a community to spend money on something where they don't have answers to it. You can't ask people to defend people that they don't know. You cannot ask people to support something they don't understand. And you cannot ask somebody to spend all their hard-earned cash and their time to do something in a relationship that is one-sided. Syracuse's relationship with the community right now is transactional. Buy tickets. Well, who's the coordinator? Silence. Buy tickets. Well, who's playing in the game? Silence. Buy tickets. What's the plan for the future? Silence. Buy tickets. Why are coaches leaving every single year and players leaving every single year? Silence. Buy tickets. If Syracuse University wants the community to give a damn, they should start giving a damn about the community. Am I wrong? I am a person that works in PR. I help all of the companies I work with handle their PR, the messages they're putting out. And I can tell you from being in this business for almost 2 decades, the only option Syracuse University has right now is to hold a press conference and to show their strengths. Their silence makes them look weak, confused, rattled, and spinning out of control. Nothing about the silence on the Hill makes Syracuse look strong, progressive, or prepared for what just happened. Hold a press conference, or else your silence will be the answer. Greg said, quote, "This reinventing the wheel year after year is becoming commonplace for the program. I get that the portal doesn't help, but still." Well, and you know what, Greg? Syracuse shouldn't have so many players in the portal. They shouldn't, right? Because they say, well, look at all the players in the portal. Well, everybody's got players in the portal. Syracuse had the most players in the portal. Syracuse had more players in the portal last season than all of the teams in the ACC that were hiring new head coaches. That should not happen. Syracuse had more players in the portal with continuity than the teams that were getting a new head coach, which means usually an entire new staff. Syracuse had more players in the portal than Duke, more players in the portal than Miami, more players in the portal than Virginia, more players in the portal than Virginia Tech. That shouldn't happen. When there is a school that doesn't have a figurehead and nobody knows who the position coaches are going to be and the entire staff and schemes could all be changing, everything about the program could be changing, and they had less people jumping ship, that should scream at you something. We don't know what anything's going to be, but we'd rather stay here than go to Syracuse where we know where at least some of the things are going to be. Every team could have somebody in the transfer portal, right? But when you're leading a conference and you're leading teams that are hiring new head coaches and new staffs, that is not the same as saying, well, Dan, everybody has transfer portal people. And look at the transfer portal. Syracuse had almost 20 going out, didn't have anywhere near that coming in. So you got all these scholarships going, and you're not filling those scholarships. If you have 20 going out and 5 coming in, what are the 15? Are you going to go recruit 15 more prep school and true freshman kids? Are you going to go do that? You have 10 hard commits right now, 5 guys in the portal. You're probably going to have more guys in the portal. So if you have 10 going out and 10 coming in, well, that doesn't make up for the 10 going out. It's not a wash. Because if you have 10 coming in, you know you have those spots open. But if you have these 5 coming out, every person in the portal is another scholarship that Syracuse is not prepared to cover. And they have nobody coming in right now from the portal. It's cut and paste from last year. What is the plan? And I would be doing a press conference right now with John Wildhack, Dino Babers, and if I was Dino, I'd have the rest of my staff there standing behind me, showing that we are a family, that Ohana means something, and that's not hashtag NoHana, which I created, thank you, but it's Ohana, and it is family. If I'm Dino Babers, I need to show that I am strong, my staff believes in me, we are together. We are a family. We're not just saying we're a family. And John Wildhack needs to be by my side, arm in arm with me, saying we're going to fight the good fight together. Anything short of that is not good enough. Anything short of a press conference showing continuity, family, love, and commitment is a wash. It's failure. You can't sit and say nothing. It looks like you're just taking hits. It just looks like you're getting punched in the head. Sitting there taking it. I mean, they're taking a page out of my ex-girlfriend's book and just staring at the wall. No words. No reaction. No kindness. No love. No emotion. Just looking straight at the wall. And wall stares get left behind. That's the truth. Dino, John, let's have a press conference so you can control your message and talk to us in the media and tell us what the plan's going to be and let us share that with the community. John Wildhack, Dino Babers, and everybody that I've ever met and people I haven't met should know I'm an honest guy. I will always tell the truth. I know other people in that room may or may not. I can't speak for them. I'm not them. But if you have a message to send, Dino, let me send that message. Talk to me. John Wildhack, talk to me. Because the longer you stay quiet, the worse it looks. And people already didn't want to go to a game that was cold. And now, do they really want to go to a game where they don't think Sean Tucker's playing? A bunch of guys are in the portal, and the offensive coordinators are gone. All you're doing right now is not selling tickets. So how are you going to sell tickets? How are you going to get people to go to a game? How are you going to get people to care about a bowl game when this team is losing coaches and players to the transfer portal? And please don't write a message to me saying coaches can't be in the transfer portal. You know what I mean. Syracuse has no other option but to speak to the community that they allegedly represent. I want to thank you for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT, and on WakeUpCallDT.com, and on Facebook.com / Live Now DT. However you're connecting with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here in Central and Upstate New York, around the country and the world. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show. And thank you so very much for spending the time that you spend with us. I truly and very much so appreciate it. Once the shows go live, and we're going to be adding a bunch to the archive here over the weekend and today, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. All you have to do is go to any one of these outlets, search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you can connect with us there for free. And we want to thank all of our incredible partners that do great stuff in our community with us. We love you and we appreciate you so very much. Just got to have my first ever Christmas party and got to celebrate all these wonderful businesses. We want to thank very proudly Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, as well as PB&J's Lunchbox, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Avicoli's, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Watertown, K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, Mother's Cupboard, and our newest partner, 317 at Montgomery, where we are doing a video series called Downtown with Dan, celebrating the fine dining at 317 at Montgomery that literally transports you into like this 5-star restaurant that I would feel you would get in any major city, in LA or New York City or Orlando. Incredible place right here in our backyard. The name of the restaurant is the name of their location. 317 Montgomery Street in downtown Syracuse. And we also are here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the proud exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Dolphins come to you with Dolphin Time every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Dolphin Time every first and third Wednesday comes to you with the opportunity to hear from Athletics Director Bob Beretta in AD and DT, first and third Wednesday of each month, with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, which has included our exclusive series on realignment and reclassification. Anybody else telling you they know anything about realignment and reclassification with Lemoyne, if it's happened, it's come through us first. And this is the place where I could promise you you're going to not be misinformed or misdirected. We have been with it, with the president and the athletic director of Lemoyne College all throughout this process, and we will continue to carry you through this process. And we appreciate you coming to us and allowing us to tell the story of Lemoyne, as we have done and are so proud to do as their exclusive multimedia marketing partner. Every second and fourth Wednesday, Dolphin Dive is here with you, with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni telling their stories as we dive into their journeys to Lemoyne and forward from there. So we thank you for tuning into all those. If you want to catch all of our content with the Lemoyne Dolphins, you can go to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. You can also go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel and search Lemoyne there on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And for more information on your Dolphins, go to their newly redesigned website on lemoynedolphins.com. The Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as well. The Bobcats come to you with a Bobcat Buzz every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. With student athletes, coaches, and administration, we have the awesome opportunity to speak with the Bobcats and bring you stories that have never been told before, including covering the inaugural baseball roster and head coach as they head toward their first ever season in the history of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. The baseball team led by Sean Peak and his student athletes have joined us on the show to make history. We've also done roundtable discussions with the coaches. We've done sit-downs with the AD and the assistant AD. We've talked with national champions in women's soccer and men's soccer. And on top of all of that, we've gotten to tell the stories of student athletes that come from the state of New York and all over the world and have great moments on site, on the field, on the courts of life to talk with these coaches during their opportunities out here in these seasons that have happened. So we love everything we get to do with the Bobcats. You can check out our library on the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, and of course by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. I want to thank you for tuning into the show as always. Big thanks to Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory giving us the list of topics every show with what's poppin'. And you can head over there and find out what's poppin' with all their awesome kettle corn and popcorn flavors and pick any one of their tins, big or small, and buy that tin for you or for a Christmas or holiday gift, and you can fill it up with your favorite kettle corn and popcorn. Multiple flavors at any given time. Half-price refills for the rest of your life. Head out to Ma and Pa's today, 201 Old 7 North Street in Liverpool, New York. Big thanks to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay for lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. A big and by the way, we're going to have a new Light Between Us airing right after the show here that Chick-fil-A and Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay bring to you. So we're going to have an all-new episode of The Light Between Us with an all-new guest talking about thankfulness this time of year and all year round. Very excited to do that. Big thanks to the top dogs of the week. Thanks to Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding for always being our top dogs in the community, taking care of our furry-loving friends and our family. And a big-time thanks to Syracuse basketball being our top dogs of the week. And the Spotlight honorees joining the show as well, honoring the whole team, and then having the opportunity to spend some time with 2 newcomers and 2 vets on the team, as you got to hear from Jesse Edwards, Joe Girard III, the vets, and the newcomers, Justin Taylor and Maliq Brown. And, of course, going from there into Syracuse, the Cuse Coaching Carousel, with Jason Beck going from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator, hired from within. Offensive coordinator Robert Anae leaving after 1 season, going to NC State for the same job. Defensive coordinator Tony White leaving after 3 seasons to take the same job in Nebraska, and everything that's coming from this as we step forward. Thank you for tuning in to all of you, and above all things, thank you to my family, my friends, the people that truly love me, and above all of it, a big thanks to my God that I love so very much, and to my grandmas and grandpas underneath God that are always with me, and my dogs and my friends that are up in heaven as well. God bless, no stress, do your best. Shout